President Mahinda Rajapaksa has threatened to topple the government in 2017. Rajapaksa's logic is simple. He says there are divisions within the coalition partners of the government and the president can't move forward. And so he offers to be the prime minister under President Sirisena, the man he once called a traitor, a puppet, and the cat's paw of the West. What the former president means is that he is ready to make a 180-degree turn in terms of policy and ideology, but only if he gets to be prime minister under President Sirisena. It doesn't require a whole lot of wisdom to understand that President Sirisena will not want Rajapaksa to be his prime minister at any cost. However, Rajapaksa can still topple the government without President Sirisena's support if he manages to secure a victory at the parliamentary elections. Unfortunately for him, there are no constitutional provisions to hold a parliamentary election until 2020. So, Rajapaksa will have to wait at least another 3 years. Apart from this reason, it is also important to understand from a political perspective why the Rajapaksa family cannot come into power at this juncture. For this, we need to look into the factors to which Rajapaksa attributes his defeat. He says the US and India masterminded Maithripala Sirisena's defection from the UPFA government in November 2014. He says the US spent nearly $650 million to bring about a regime change in Sri Lanka. He says the Tamil National Alliance refused to cooperate with the Rajapaksa government to find a lasting solution to the Northeast problem due to pressure from the West. He also accused the Bodubala Sena of creating divisions between the government and the Muslim community while he was in power. However, what Rajapaksa doesn't reveal if it was India and the US that pushed him to hold an election 2 years before its due date. He doesn't say if it was the US that advised him to place the entire state machinery under the members of his family, forcing his health minister to leave the government and become the common candidate of the opposition. But he does tell us why he didn't take action against the Bodubala Sena when it ran amok in Alutgama. He says Champika Ranawaka, now a minister of President Sirisena's government, stood in his way at the time. Funny story. On a serious note though, what Rajapaksa indicates is that he is still unable to engage in genuine self-reflection and objective criticism of his administration, which failed to ensure the freedom, democracy and human rights of the country's citizens. His short-sighted economic policies also pushed the country towards an inescapable debt trap, giving rise to a serious economic crisis. On the foreign policy front, during his tenure, Sri Lanka failed to make any progress as powerful nations refused to engage, given the government's abysmal human rights record and rigid approach on post-war accountability and reconciliation. Rajapaksa's criticism of the Bodubala Sena, Champika Ranawaka and Western conspiracies crystallizes the fact that he does not want to re-evaluate his policies and correct his mistakes, which will go against his aspirations to project himself as an alternative to the present government. So, what makes Rajapaksa's comeback impossible is not his humble numbers in parliament, nor the constitutional barriers, but his own refusal to look in the mirror and correct himself.